First of all, if you don't know me already, my name is Daniel Westlake. I run a digital design agency based here in Lincoln called Cursor. I'm also the founder of Digital Lincoln. Digital Lincoln is a technology community based here in Lincoln. The idea is that we are trying to promote and share ideas for people that want to get involved in digital technology, whether that's, if you're a student or a hobbyist or a professional. And we run monthly events here in Lincoln, which usually take place on a Tuesday night. Currently it's all online, obviously, and we're still doing that during the lockdown. But as well as those kind of different hats, most importantly for today's discussion, okay, yeah, I'm glad you can hear me. Thanks, Linda. I'm a small business owner, and as a small business owner, you're in this constant battle with time. Too much to do, not enough time. I've run Cursor for 18 years now, and no matter what I do, I don't have enough time to do everything that I want in the week. I cannot invent more day. More day is when you catch up on all the work that you didn't get done in the week. There's kind of an important thing here. You can always work longer, but I don't want to be a drone. I don't want to be working all the hours. If output was the only judge of success, then you could clearly just work longer. But that's not what I want in life. Don't want to be a drone. I want to get the things that I want to get done, but I also want to have a life outside of work. And kind of enjoy the fruit of my hard-earned labour. So what we need to do is we need to look at things slightly differently. So rather than saying, right, in order to create more output from a business or in order to be more successful, I need to spend more time working. No, let's put a pin in the amount of time that we are going to be spending working, and then say, well, actually, how can we get better and more efficient? So if you're thinking about efficiency, if you are doing something which is kind of a small repetitive task, you can get more efficient by practice. You can streamline your processes. You can become, like these examples, really, really, really efficient with those manual tasks, just with skill. However, I work in an office, and I work with a team and work with clients, and there's lots of different things happening. How can we have efficiency improvements in the same way that you're seeing in these examples, with teams that have information, don't have information, clients who change their mind, all sorts of stuff. So the answer really is technology. And technology should be there to make your lives easier. It should be the answer to increasing efficiency. But the problem is, if you go on the internet and you're trying to look for stuff, there's so much choice. How can we tell between what is good and what is bad? And that's what I'm going to try and do in this presentation. I'm going to give you my top list of kind of digital tools which I found in the last year. I did this talk a year ago, again at the last Go Digital conference, but that was in front of an audience, so this is a little bit different. So I've kind of updated it. But first things first, this is my list. So if you find something which is useful here, great, use it. If it's not your thing, great, that's fine as well. It's just tools that I found which I found useful and interesting, and I've shared with our clients and our partners, and I'm going to share with you today. But don't worry about writing things down. I'll give you a link at the end of the presentation with everything in, a link to my website, and it's got links to all the other tools on there. So before I get started, just let me say, this is not going to be a sort of Zoom versus Teams versus Meets versus Slack kind of thing. Everyone needs to be able to work with your team, despite the fact that we are now probably working in different locations. Whether you work from an office like I am today, or we're working from home, or wherever it is, you still need to be able to collaborate with your team. So you need to use this tool or that tool. That's fine. Just do what you need to do. If Slack suits you, great. If you're a Google company and you're using Google Meet, then that works great, because that comes bundled in with what we call Google Workspace. You're paying for that already. If you're an Office 365 company, it makes absolute sense to use Teams. And Zoom is pretty good as well. So, use whatever tool that you want. That's absolutely fine. However, there are a few things that I do recommend. And one of the tools, regardless of what video tools you use, one of the things that we really like to continue from the physical office is our daily stand-up. Now, our daily stand-up is at 10 o'clock. I missed it this morning because I was presenting, so apologies for the rest of the team. And it is literally a very brief 15 to 20-minute meeting where we go around the room and we describe, right, what did we work on yesterday, what we're going to do today, and anything which will stop or block this work. It is a fantastic habit to get into. If you're not doing it already, I would firmly recommend giving it a shot. It is a bit weird if you haven't done it before, especially on an online space, but it's just literally what we do is we have a recurring meeting, and it's set for 10 o'clock, and then everyone joins, and then one person starts, and then they will describe what they did yesterday, what they're going to work on today, and anything that will stop their work or any questions that they have. Don't go into too much detail. Because actually you can get bogged down, so if it's going to go over a couple of minutes or you want to talk about something in a bit more detail, just save that for later. But this is really good for that. Oh, I forgot to mention. Oh, I'm doing this. Oh, can you send me this? Can you send me that? And we're all working in different locations now, and it's easy to work in a silo. And if you work in a silo, you might not have all the information that you need. So you're working on something and you're trying your best. But because you don't have all the information that you need to get your job done, at the end of the week or the end of the project, or you deliver it to your client or your teammate, it won't be right. That's because you haven't been given all the information, and that's another thing to kind of keep in mind. If you've got a stand-up, making sure everyone's got the right tools to do their job properly is great. And it helps to prevent people working in silos. And after the daily stand-up, we've now kind of got this thing, which is it's just a spreadsheet, really. I blurred the links out, so you don't have to join us. So we have our daily stand-up, and then that's the link at the top in the blurred bit. And then we've got 4 other rooms, a shed, a balcony, a bunker, and a basement. And the idea is these are just rooms where, after the stand-up, people can then go to and then start a video call. And then the people that they're working with can join them in the shed or the balcony, or on the balcony, or in the bunker, or in the basement. And then we have this little thing, someone's created some icons, and we can move the little faces around just to say what room we're in, which kind of works quite nice. It's a little artifact to say that we're working together from the office. It's not a physical location, but it's actually quite nice, because if I quite like to be able to work with a colleague if we're working together on something and just have a video call open at the same time. But also, it's quite nice for someone to be able to interrupt and just ask a question. Okay, you can do that on Slack. You can have a little text message, send an email. But actually, it's just, oh, what about this? What about that? It's really, really handy just to be able to pop into the bunker and have a chat with usually myself or Matt, who are in there because we're involved in project planning and that kind of stuff, project management. Another artifact which is quite good, which I do miss from the office, but we've brought online, is the holiday wall chart. Now, I know not many people have been taking leave recently because you've been stirring it up, and we've been doing the same thing. But it is quite useful to have a shared calendar that everyone can see what's going on. It might be just planning things for future events to make sure that who's off that week. I'll try and do the week before. Timetastic is a very nice tool to help you manage that. It's really, really cheap. I think it's like $1 per person, something like that. It's very, very, very cut down. When I gave this talk last year, I talked about Charlie HR. Now, Charlie HR is a similar tool that allows you to do a lot of HR kind of things like performance reviews and holiday and sickness in a kind of similar way. But Timetastic is what we've switched to. And that's a much pared down version of it. It's just about holiday. It's just about leave. It can handle working from home as well, but most of us are working from home anyway. So yeah, very, very good. Well worth checking out. In terms of things like time off requests, I would have a look at Google Forms. Now, if you haven't tried Google Forms before, it's a really handy little tool, and it's like a drag and drop solution that creates online forms that then you can put online and share that link with somebody. And they can be set to be just inside your organization, so private forms, or they can be open to anybody. They're great for little internal processes. So this is an example, which is, time off requests. But you could do all sorts of stuff. If you need stationery, office equipment, anything like that, anything that's like a little process that you do internally, you can you create a Google form for that gathers the information that you need and then puts it into a Google Sheet spreadsheet. Now, the link that you get for the Google form, as you might be able to see, it is a bit small at the top of the screen, is very, very long. But if you put that in bit.ly and shorten it down, you can just drop it in an email, or have it in a chat channel, and they're really, really handy to pass to your member of staff. If you're anything like us, when we first entered lockdown, we realised that we had processes, but they start to creak when you're not in the same room. And over the last few months, we've developed our processes. Lockdown and working remotely kind of force us to look at those processes again, and having just like handy tools like Google Forms is very, very useful. On the subject of processes, if we're all working in different location, then it's sometimes good to have a reference, like how do we work? How do we deal with this particular thing? And I know there's loads of different charting applications out there and business flowchart applications, but one that I really think is worth mentioning is Whimsical. Whimsical allows you to do really, really quick charts and flowcharts and diagrams and bits and bobs like that. As a business owner, I think I could probably do an entire presentation talking about how you can grow your business through documenting things. Now, this isn't something that a lot of people will think about. You think about business growth, you think about, let's look at marketing or SEO, let's look at online advertising, let's look at business development, let's look at doing promotional videos or anything like that. But actually, what you can do through documentation is you can allow your team to work more efficiently and allow them to have the tools that they need to do the job without getting in touch with the senior team, or yourself as the owner. If they've got a clear flowchart to follow and to say, okay, well, what do we do when we're onboarding a new customer? Or what do we do with a new inquiry? How do we pass it? Where does the information go? All you need is to answer two questions. Like, did they follow the process? Can the process be improved? Makes it really, really simple. And if you can have more and more of these flow diagrams that describe what's going on in your business, then actually that can give like your senior team and yourself or whoever's involved in business development a bit more time. So they're not working with the team, they're instead going out and getting new business. So yeah, I think you can make the case to say that documentation is actually quite good for business growth. And if you haven't done it already, check out Whimsical, because it's really, really easy to create these kind of document flows. It's not just flowcharts. You can also do mind maps and wireframes and pretty much anything that you can think of. It is commercial software. It costs $12 per month. However, there's a free version that includes free boards. Free boards, that's right, yeah. And there's no limit on their size. So effectively, if you're using this internally and you want to have your own charts and diagrams, you can create all of that for free. And then you can just copy what you've, a mind map like this, and then just paste it into a document, and it works really, really well. So check it out, Whimsical, very worth looking into. Now, I'm going to bring out the big guns now. So if you don't know this one already, it's fantastic. I need to mention Miro. Miro is like a collaborative whiteboard that you can add pretty much anything you can think of. You can do mind maps like this. You can add sticky notes. You can add content. You can drag and drop pictures, and then you can connect it to all sorts of things. So, like we use Jira as a project management software. You can connect it to Trello. You can embed videos, drop things in terms of YouTube. It is commercial software. You do pay for it. I think it's $8 for the first user or something like that. But actually, there is a free tier, which is really good to get you started. I'll mention a little bit later. There is a light version, and I'll show you a little bit about that. In fact, I think it's on the next slide. Yes, it is. Okay, so this is actually only just released. I think it was last week, and it's a cut down version. It allows you to get a lot of the features without paying for it, which is great. How it works is that you can just create boards. This is I use it for kind of like a brain splat. So say if I'm thinking about marketing, I tend to put a board together, and then I'm using sticky notes to kind of capture thoughts. So in this case, I'm thinking about publishing and pitching ideas and presenting, and then I just create a load of little sticky notes, stick it on my Miro board. And you can do this in a meeting. Get people's ideas, stick it on a board, and then you've got a reference that you can come back to. I also quite like the idea of using Miro as an alternative to presentation software. So presentation software like this is fine, but you're going on a sort of linear trajectory. You're going from A to B to C. Now, actually, you don't need to do that with Miro. You can effectively set up things to look at, whether that's pictures, like video, bullet points, documents, anything like that. Drop them in on your page, and then you can move around that space as you are presenting. And you've got that kind of a memoir of what you like from your speaker notes, but also you can do it in a non-linear fashion. So if you're talking in a meeting and actually you want to note something down, you can do it on the page, but also then you can move things in different directions, which is quite nice in a presentation, because you don't want that feeling that you're presenting and you've got things wrong with your audience. Instead, if you do it on Miro, it's not a problem. So what I'm doing here with this board, though, is worth mentioning. I'm just sort of brain splatting loads of things onto the board, and then what I'll do is I'll come back, and when I've kind of blocked some time in my diary to look at marketing, I'll probably pick one of these sticky notes or maybe two as something that I'm going to do now. So I want to be able to have a place where I can put all the information, but I'm not going to do it on that. I'm going to come back to it later. Now, I'm a big fan of sticky notes. They're on all over my office, and anyone that has a video call with me when I'm at home, they're on the home walls as well. I mean, you don't need these high-tech tools. They are good for collaboration, but there is something physical about sticky notes. Just putting an idea. Don't stick them all on your monitor, but around your office is very, very handy. But another thing that I'm a big fan on is actually the Humble notebook. It's fantastic for kind of short-term planning. And I do have a notebook. I've had the notebooks for years. Everyone has them. But if you're using a notebook and you want to kind of make it more effective, then I would definitely check out the bullet journal. Now, the bullet journal is a kind of analog, I suppose, real world method for busy people to organize all the short-term stuff and then plan the longer term tasks and projects. It's really allowing you to keep track of what you've done, order what you're working on, and design what you plan to do in the future. So the idea is you just take a normal notebook. I like dotty ones, but anyway, that's just personal preference, which is kind of a bit like this. And then what you can do is you can put the date in, you can put the actions that you're working on, and you use a dot for a task, a circle for events, and a dash for a note. So then as you're working on things during the day, then you can then make notes, but then also then you can look forward into something what's called the future log. So that's a place where you might plan the week, and it's actually a really good habit to get into. So like you do your notes for the week and finish it on the Friday, and then maybe on a Sunday before the working week starts, you look back and you say, right, what's important? What do I want to carry on into next week? I don't want to work on everything because we don't want to be a drone. In order to be most effective, we need to choose what we're working on. And in order to do that, then let's review all my outstanding tasks and then move them into the future log, which is stuff that I'm going to tackle this week. It sounds quite complicated, but actually it's a really good routine to get into. There's a book, there's a website, as you would expect, if you want to find out more about bullet journaling. Definitely check it out if it sounds like it's your thing. I've also adapted the kind of format of bullet journaling into a kind of method to take meeting notes. Now, this is just my text editor. I'm a web developer, so, excuse me, it's a text editor, but it's dark grey because developers like dark stuff and hoodies and bits and bobs like that. But effectively, it's just the format here is the thing to look at. I'm just creating a way to create really, really quick meeting notes, and I can do that whilst I'm in a meeting, probably whilst I'm even talking in a meeting as well. I'm quite forgetful, so I need to make sure that I've written things down because it kind of makes it real, and then I can come back to it and make sure I'm not missing anything. If I've made a promise of an action, I can make sure I'm going to do it. So I use a kind of similar syntax to what goes on in the bullet journal, but in this case, I'm just using a dash for a note, and then I'm using a star for an action point. So the idea is, as I go through I'm making notes on everything that's happened in the meeting. But if there's something that I need to do, I will put a star. And then at the end, I can just do Apple F or Control F to find everything that's a star within that document. And then I can provide a little summary at the end. So I'm not missing out any of the actions. I don't get lost in the rest of the meeting notes. It works quite well. Again, if you want to give something like this a go, great, adapt it to your own use. I'm not saying my ideas will work for you, but it's really handy to have meeting notes, be able to work on them really, really quickly. And it looks very professional to get the meeting notes out within 5 or 10 minutes at the end of the meeting. I just go through, just check my spelling's okay, and then just send it out to everyone that's been there. Works really quick and very efficient. Speaking of which, I'm a big fan of this piece of software. Now, this piece of software you can use in loads of things. It's called Text Expander. So in this case, I'm creating a meeting. I'm doing it on Google Meet, and I go to edit, and I'm typing in semicolon address. So what that does is Text Expander gets a snippet and then fills it in on where I put that stuff on the page. So it's kind of a tool that allows you to store snippets of text, and then just by pressing a shortcut, it will type them in automatically into wherever you're working. In this case, I'm setting up a meeting in Google Calendar. But actually, there's a lot of things that are really positive about this. First of all, you can spend a bit more time on something than you would normally do. So in this, I know we don't have physical events anymore, but if you can see at the bottom, I'm talking about coming for a meeting here. We're at the Bull Technology Centre in Lincoln. That's where I am today. And here's some information. It's got directions. It's got information about accessibility. It's got information about car parking. So I've spent a bit more time to write that stuff, but I don't have to write that stuff every time. I've just saved it in the snippet, and I just type semicolon visit cursor, I think, and then it will put that text in, straight away. So you can kind of spend a bit of time and build up a library of useful snippets, and then actually, you're working very efficiently, but also you look very professional as well because you include all these details. But of course, I mean, this is 2020. Who comes to physical meetings anymore? But I would definitely check out this tool. This is Calendly, and this is something where it kind of avoids all that messing around with. Let's do a call. Let's do a meeting. All right. Well, I'm free on Tuesday. Oh no, I don't work Tuesdays. Can you do Friday? Oh no, I'm busy Friday afternoon. And all that hoo-ha. So rather than doing that, you set up an account on Calendly. This is free. This is a free account. And then I can say, right, what times am I available for a meeting? And I've set up 30-minute meetings, and I've got kind of two kind of windows during the day. I've got between 11 and 12 and 1 and 2. And they're my Calendly possibly meetings. Now, if I've got another meeting, now that goes in the calendar, and it's not available on this system. So I will never be double booked. But then, rather than having to mess around with all the the times of the meeting, I can just send a link to somebody, which incidentally I do store in Text Expander, and then say, right, okay, let's arrange a meeting. Here's a link to my diary. Pick a day that suits you, and they just go onto there, pick a day, and then the available times come up. They click that, it automatically gets added to my diary with a message which I set up, which has got my link in there for Google Meet, and then an email sent to their diary as well. So it's really, really good, and a great way if you don't have to worry about traveling to meetings. You're booking them all online now, and actually let's just get people to book them in when they want and not have to mess around saying, when are you going to be free? The final thing I'm going to mention on Text Expander is actually you can just use it on things like email. And also I use it quite a lot for things that I don't remember, like the VAT number, company registration number. So, I'm very much, I don't like spending too much time on email. We do spend too much time on email. So any kind of shortcuts that you can do for things that you commonly say, I commonly say, when we're doing a support tickets, there's like different email addresses that we use. So I've got some canned responses that work well for that. So yeah, if you haven't got it already, check out Text Expander. Very worthwhile in doing. I need to mention email. Email is one of the things that actually, you can spend loads and loads of time on. But remember to check email when you need to do it. It's a list of things that other people want you to do, not necessarily a list that you want to, the most effective things that you can do today. So try and avoid the temptation and only check your emails at certain times of the day. You'll be instantly more efficient if you're concentrating on what you need to do rather than what other people need you to do. On the subject of email, though, a handy tool is Google Groups. So what you can do here is you can set up a group of email addresses, and in this case, this is all of our team. And then if you send an email to that group address, it gets automatically sent to everyone in the Google group. So this is really handy if you want to send a message to all of your team and like inviting them to a monthly team meeting, rather than having to add people individually. Just send a message once to the group, and Google Calendar will do the rest. It's quite nice. If someone from outside of the group emails the group address, then it doesn't automatically get sent to everybody, and admin will get sent a message. They can approve the email, and then it gets sent to everybody. Really, really handy, useful for loads of different stuff, and it's free. So definitely check out Google Groups. Another thing which is definitely worth looking at is a kind of combination between Excel, Trello, and a database, and it's called Airtable. Airtable starts up, and it pretty much looks like a spreadsheet with kind of fields and values. However, underneath it's structured a lot more like a database. And these are records that can be related with other records, so you can kind of build up structures. You can drag and drop media in, and you can view things in different ways. Here is looking like a CRM. Then you could view things that you put on there in terms of a calendar view. You can display things in a kind of Trello view like you've got on here, move things around in terms of cards. You can then embed those onto a web page. And then you can get forms that then get data and automatically push that through into your Airtable document. And so effectively you can use it for input forms like Google Forms at the beginning. And there's all sorts of kind of chat and interaction functions. There's a nice mobile app as well. So you can use this. Airtable it's commercial software, but actually you can use it for free. I've set up a very, very simple like a CRM function in this. All I did was you go onto Airtable, you select I want a CRM, and it populates it's like a sales funnel. So you've got the inquiries, you've got somewhere to track inquiries, you've got somewhere to track contacts. It's all set up for you. You just need to just overtype some of the pre-entered data with your own customers and contacts and your own projects, and it just works out the box. And it works out the box with the free version. You don't have to go and pay. I've been using it for about a year now, not paid anything. So it works really, really well. The last thing that I'm going to talk about really is something which kind of as a web designer, I probably shouldn't be telling you about now, but I should definitely mention Squarespace. Squarespace is a fantastic tool, and it is the best of the DIY website builders. So if you are a small business, if you're a startup, or if you've got a new business idea or venture, you don't need to go to a web design company or a graphic design company to build a website. Maybe you do a little bit further down the road when you've got more specific requirements. But actually, if you're just getting started, make sure you check out Squarespace. It's really, really good. It's really, really easy. And instead of investing in kind of web design technology, you can invest in your brand. So, get a really good brand, get clarity in your message, get great content, get really good photos. You need nice, big, high-res photos to work on Squarespace. But don't necessarily jump for a bespoke website straight away. If you've got a new business idea and you just want to try it out, have a go at Squarespace. So, go on to the next slide. I've talked about plenty of digital tools. I mean, I could probably do this for another half an hour. I have brushed through things quite quickly. All of these are available with a free tier or a low-cost subscription. But I do know that you work in different ways, so some of these might be more relevant to you than others. But hopefully I've given you a few ideas that you can try out, and things that you can try out to be more efficient and more effective in your time at work, even if you're working from home. Finally, this is my website, danwestlake.co.uk. If you go on there, scroll down, there is a button which says more information and links, and then that will take you onto a page with everything that I've talked about. So I hope you've enjoyed that and find it useful, and thank you very much.